Hello my students and welcome back. Now inshallah we're going to start with lesson 2. But before we start, I just want to tell you that I'm your English teacher. My name is Rahma. I work with Leaf International and this video is funded by the American government in collaboration with the Ministry of Education. The outcomes of this lesson: number 1, to ask questions using how often. Okay? Number 2, okay, so number 1, how often. Number 2, to practice the imperative فعل الأمر in the affirmative بالحالة الإثبات and what and negative وبحالة النفي. Let's start with how often. Why do we use it? ليه نستخدمها؟ How often. How often. كم مرة. Yes, it is used to ask a question about the frequency of an event. حتى نسأل عن تكرار frequency تكرار حدث ما. Okay, let's look at these examples. How often do you download games to your phone? كم مرة بتحمل أو بتنزل ألعاب لهاتفك؟ How often. It comes at the beginning of the question. تيجي ببداية السؤال وهون نفس الشي في البداية. Okay, then what comes after how often? Look at all the questions. نطلع على كل الأسئلة. What comes after how often? بكل الأسئلة شو بيجي بعدها مباشرة لأداة السؤال how often كم مرة؟ Yes, here we have do, also do, also do. Here is different. Sentence number 4, does, and here do. So what comes after how often? إما do or does. Do if the subject is what? Yes, if the subject is plural إذا الفاعل جمع. Do you فاعل جمع and هنا you. They برضو they فاعل جمع. does ديفيد أجا بعدها فاعل مفرد إذا هنا فاعل جمع وهنا فاعل مفرد. أوكي، ديفيد شخص واحد لهيك مفرد. does ديفيد وهنا برضو you لأنه جمع. So what comes after the subject? شو بيجي مباشرة بعد الفاعل؟ Let's look at the questions. أنا download, upload, use, go, watch. All of these are what? These are infinitive verbs. إذن how often بعديها do or does بعديها الفاعل سواء مفرد أو جمع بعديها infinitive verb فعل مجرد خالي من أي زيادة ومنكمل السؤال آخر شي question mark. أوكي، هذه صياغة السؤال باستخدام how often. طب when you answer لما نجاوب بسؤال بدأ ب how often كم مرة، فطبيعي إنه نجاوب باستخدام أوقات نستخدم ظرف التكرار frequency adverbs. frequency adverbs. Look at these adverbs. The first one is always. always. If it is not always, usually. بعدين عنا sometimes أخف تكرار rarely. And the last one, never. Here are the adverbs of frequency, ظروف التكرار. So, how often do you clean your room? كم مرة بتنظفوا غرفتكم مثلا؟ How often do you clean your room? نحكي مثلا for example, I always clean my room. Okay? How often do you go to school by bus? وانتوا ما كنتوا بتروحوا by bus أبدا، فبنحكي I never go to school by bus. never أبدا. Okay, let's read here. Read each question carefully. Choose the answer you think is the best for you. رح نقرأهم. Then you should choose your own answer. كل حدا فيكم لازم يختار إجابته that you think is the best، يلي بتعتقدوا أنها هي أفضل بالنسبة لكم. Number 1. How often do you turn how often طلعوا نفس الترتيب. do لأنه بعديها you فاعل جمع بعدين turn أجت مجرد بنكملها للآخر عندنا question mark نفس الترتيب. okay so again let's read it again. نقرأها مرة تانية. how often do you turn off the lights؟ كم مرة تطفئوا الكهرباء الأضواء lights when you leave a room لما تغادروا غرفة. for example always ممكن نحكي. ممكن بعضكم not always مش دائما بيسكروا اللايتس الأضواء، فممكن يجاوبوا sometimes أو never بيختلف. أوكي طب نشوف number 2. how often do you turn off the tap okay to save water while you brush your teeth؟ إغلاق الصنبور بينما للحفاظ على الماء بينما انتوا عم بتفرشوا أسنانكم. for example رح أجاوب أنا always. طبعا انتوا حسب برضو كيف إجابتكم كيف إجابتكم على السؤال تقدروا تختاروا الإجابة المناسبة. طب number 3 or C. how often do you walk to school؟ okay you can say sometimes or for me never. طب D. how often do you take bus to school؟ you can answer always sometimes never for me never. فهون الإجابات هدول suggested answers هدول إجابات مقترحة but you should answer your own you should choose your own answer. كل حدا فيكم يختار إجابته الخاصة فيه. okay now let's move after we talked about how often why do we use it ليه نستخدمها what is the form شو صياغتها شكلها وأخذنا أمثلة عليها وحلينا السؤال. now let's move to the imperatives ننتقل للأمر. okay let's look at these two pictures. number 1 sit down please. number 2 open your book. here we have two verbs. number 1 sit down. number 2 open your book. open your book. The imperative verb is formed with the verb without a subject. إذا هل هون في عنا فاعل قبل sit down؟ لا ما في عنا فاعل without a subject. بنبدأ فورا بالفعل اللي هو المجرد حتى in order to give what حتى نعطي to give an order حتى نعطي أمر ما أو طلب ما. okay so sit down please. sit down ما في عنا فاعل وبدأنا بفعل مجرد. open your box. open برضو نفس الشي بدأنا بالفعل المجرد open your box افتحوا كتبكم. okay طب in order to make it negative حتى ننفي let's look at this example. don't eat in class. don't eat in class برضو هنا ما في عنا subject. okay we don't have a subject. we start with don't. إذا بدنا ننفي the negative imperative is formed with do not. إذا do not or don't الاختصار تبعها and the verb والinfinitive verb. إذا بدنا ننفي نعطي أمر بالنفي you should start with don't بعدها infinitive verb don't eat. طب let's go back to this sentence. sit down لو بدنا ننفيها don't sit down. open your box don't open your box. okay now let's go to the next example or question. underline the correct form of the verbs. A. brush or brushes your teeth with water tap off. brush or brushes احنا قلنا in this question you are going to use what imperative رح تستخدم فعل الأمر. فعل الأمر بالإثبات بيجي الفعل بداية الجملة ما في فاعل وبيجي مجرد. in the negative بالنفي you should start with don't بتبلشي don't بعدها what comes after don't؟ yes infinitive verb. طب هون brush or brushes؟ yes of course brush. doesn't or don't throw away used supermarket bags. yes. don't play or plays? play because what comes after don't yes after don't بيجي infinitive. the last one turn or turns of your computer when you don't use it. yes turn Why term? Because you should use the infinitive verb فعل مجرد. Okay? Now we have finished. I hope you enjoyed our class today. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.